Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to my stream, and yeah, thanks for joining me. It's morning in the UK, so Friday morning, and we're doing something a bit different today. Um, Usually, I'd go through me making a new app, so from scratch, or um, updating an old app to a new app. But this time, we're going to be refactoring someone's code. So someone has come up to me, showed me some code, and yeah, I've just got some thoughts about how it's been written. So I'll do that. This is what the output looks like, and yeah, it's not a bad first app for a graduate developer, but of course there are things that can be improved. So let's go ahead and look at the code. Actually, before we do that, let's have a look at the app. So this is the app. It's a shopping list app, and you can add things to it. So I can add chocolate, hit enter, that gets added. I don't know what else. Crisps or chips in America, that's what you call them. Chips is invalid. I don't get that. So there's a first bug. Why can't I add chips? That's really weird. So I can delete things and I can say done. So that means I've bought them. And yeah, they're in my basket or something. So that's it. One bug that the person noted in the code was that if you keep hitting add, it keeps doing this. So I don't know what generate does. Oh, you need 10 items. Okay, fine. I don't know why. Test. Or just put some random things in here. Get to 10. Also, it'd be nice if this removed. There was a button to close it. And it would be nice to know how many I've got, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I've got 7, but I don't know. It would be nice to have a counter. So 8, 9, 10. Do I have a button at the bottom? I do. What does this do? Okay, there's an error. So it's meant to do something, but there's a problem. Okay, fine. So first we're going to go through, look at the code, try and figure out what it's doing, and we're going to fix some of these bugs. So this is the code. I've gone ahead and opened the JavaScript file. If you look at the Explorer on the left-hand side, I'll check if there are any messages. Hey, oh wow, very fresh on it. I've got a weird thing with my Streamlabs. Sign into chat. Let's sign into chat. Open in my browser. What is this going to do? My chat was a bit broken. Hey, mister, welcome to see you again. Can it type? Okay. Yeah, so this is actually a good stream for someone who's new to coding, because then you can see someone's code, so someone who's quite new to coding, what code they've written, and what recommendations that I would make to improve them. So yeah, let's have a look at the file explorer. So there's an index HTML, index.js, and some styles. So this is all fairly standard. The thing that first jumped out to me, and it's not a big thing, but the thing that first jumped out to me is it doesn't have a README. So I don't know how to start this up, but this is fairly simple, so it's fine. I don't need now to start it up. Another thing that jumped out to me is usually when I'm working on projects, they're usually node based, so they've got npm installed. So I was expecting to do npm run dev or npm start or something, but this doesn't have that. So that's fine, but it's nice to have a server in an app, purely because there are certain benefits to having a server. I can't think of some now, but it's just kind of better to have a server running in the app, because when it's hosted somewhere, it'll be on a server. I don't know what I'm saying, but basically I'm just used to having npm run start or npm run dev. So we'll do that here. That's the first thing we're going to do, and we'll also create a README. So I'm going to jump into my terminal. I'm going to hit touch. So touch is to create a file. So I created a README. Are there any chats? Oh yeah, this is definitely a perfect stream. So yeah, bookmark the stream, watch it when it's done. Okay, so I've created a README here, and I'm also going to make a directory called source. Okay, so this is just kind of habit, because this is what I'm used to seeing, but it's not something that you have to do. It's just what I'm used to seeing when I'm working on code. So this is the source, so all the source code will go in here, and this is the README, so I can say shopping list app. Here we go. This is a basic application. So this is in Markdown. That's why there's a hashtag here. It means a H1. With VS Code, I've got this plugin to render the Markdown, so I can see what it looks like. Also, one thing I should have done before I started writing any code or made a new file was to make a new branch. So I'll do that now. So this is, let me make this a bit bigger. This is a branch called main. So I'm using a terminal called Warp, and it has ZSH installed, or ZSH, and that gives me a few shortcuts for Git. So I can do Git GBA to see all the branches. There's only one main, so that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press GSTA to stash all my changes. Now what this will do is temporarily hold it for me, so put it in a separate place, and then I can get it back later. So I'll stash all my changes, and then I'm going to make a new branch. I'm going to call it Refactor, and then I'm going to bring all my changes back into this new branch. So GSTP, so that's git stash pop. So my changes will all come back, and then I can use this branch. So I can do a git commit. Actually, with ZSH, I can do GC to the git commit, and I've configured it. Or is it? Yeah, GC. Is it GC? Yeah. No, is it GC? Oh, git. Let me add all the changes, and then do a git commit. I'm not going to push because there's no repository, but I'm going to say, what have I done? Refactor. Is that how you spell refactor? Refactor, create new file system, something like that. Save that. So now we have two branches. So I can do git branch all to see all my branches, and I can do git checkout. So press Q to quit. GCO git checkout main. So that goes to the main branch. So this is the original code. So it doesn't have any of these things. That's why they're crossed out. And I can do git checkout refactor to go to what I've done. So we can compare the original code from my refactor. Cool. Another thing I'm going to do is do install npm, of course. npm init, so initialize npm, and I'll hit -y to say yes to everything it asks for. So it usually asks a bunch of questions like, what's the name, what version do you want, what description do you want? But I'll just say, give me the basic. So now I've got a package JSON, and I can do shopping list app. That's fine. I'll make it into list app version 1. That's fine. This is a basic app. This is all good. The benefit of having this now is that I can install a package. So I'm going to install a simple package to run a HTTP server. So npm install HTTP. So this is going to be the first package. So install that. Usually, yeah, you'd see more things at the bottom, but because I've zoomed in, I think this is a bug of Warp. Okay, so now I've got HTTP server installed. Now I can add a script to say dev. So this is going to execute a script whenever I run dev. And now I've forgotten the syntax for the HTTP server, so I'm going to look at the documentation for that. Let me know if I'm talking too fast. So I've got this new camera, which makes me look a lot better. The lighting's a bit bad, but anyway, it tends to be a bit delayed. So if I talk quite fast, it might miss it might be a bit, what's the word? Misplace my mouth movements with the sounds. But anyway, just let me know in the chat. Okay, so how does this work? Okay, so I've installed it locally. That's fine. So I want to do HTTP server. What's a basic command? Give me a basic command. Here we go. Is that what I want? Okay, so it's saying if I just do HTTP server, it should work. I don't trust that. Let's see, npm run dev. Okay, cool. So this has got a server running on port 8080, which is not what I want actually. I'm quite used to this is what I'm used to. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to set the port to 3000. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, it's good you can keep up. So I'm changing the port to 3000. I'm going to cancel this by pressing Control C, and I'll say, what was that again? Was it -p? -p 3123. Cool. So now if I run npm run dev, I'm going to press up on my keyboard to run the last command, hit enter, and it should put it on port 3000. So that means if I go to a new tab and do localhost 3000, oh, okay. Did not expect that. So what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to go to source. Let's bring that old tab back. It's supposed to go to source and then open the index. So how do you set the file, the basic file? Where do you set a file? Openness? No, that's not what I want to set. How do you set? No. I don't care about certificates. Why is npm? Sorry, I'm asking. Okay, so npm stands for Node Package Manager. Because the language is JavaScript, it makes sense to use Node. I mean, I guess you can use whatever you want because it's just a HTTP server. So you could use a Python server, you could use a Rust server if you wanted to. This is just what I'm used to. This is industry standard. Most JS-based websites would use npm. They'd use Node, so that's why. But yeah, I'm finding this quite annoying. So this is the part. I think this is what I want. So I think if I do here, so I'm going to say port whatever, and then source / index.html. Right, I think this is what I want. Let's see if that works. Okay. So let's go to here again, refresh. Okay, so that's not what I want. How do I set the path? And don't worry about asking questions. There's no such thing as a basic question. Every question's a good question. Right. Oh, I need the /. Okay. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, that didn't work either. Why did not that work? Index HTML. Let's get rid of this port because this to me looks good. But do I need to set anything else? Yeah, you can visit to view. Yeah, I know that. Caching. I'm not too fussed about caching. Oh, is it cached? I don't think it's cached. Let's do that again. And then let's go back to this page. No, it's not cached. So I'm going to get rid of this just to see. Oh, hang on a minute. We've got chat. What is Node and why do you use it? That's a very good question. So JavaScript is a language that runs in a browser. So all this code, can I show you some source code? Anyway, all the code you see on websites are JavaScript and they run in browsers. I'm trying to figure this out and answer your question at the same time. So the code, so JavaScript is a language that needs to compile to machine code, so the machine code can read it, so that's ones and zeros. And there's a compiler in the browser, which is made by Google, called V8. And so it will take JavaScript, compile it to assembly code, and then ones and zeros, and then the computer can read it. Now, that compiler, V8, has been taken out of the browser and put in something called Node.js. And so Node can now run your JavaScript code outside the browser and on your desktop, so on your machine, your Mac, Linux, Windows. So that's why we use Node to run JavaScript. If you have Rust, you'd use a Rust compiler. If you had Go or Python, you'd use a Python compiler. But Node is the most popular JS compiler for the desktop. It's not the only compiler. I think Bun is also a compiler. There's also Dino, but Node is the most popular. So I hope that answers your question. But this is actually, because I've done this before, so it's actually quite annoying that it's not working now. But this looks good to me. So I've got the path. Is it because it's not globally installed? I have to install it globally. Let's just try this. Let's try npx. It should work regardless of npx or global installs. It's the exact same thing. No, so yeah, it's the exact same thing. What's path options? Yeah, this to me looks good. Defaults to public. Let's put that p back. Index HTML. Should I just do index without the HTML? No, I think it needs HTML. Let me just have a look at something. So by default, it goes to /dot, right? So that's what it'll do by default. Okay, so if I go to source, okay, so it's just source, fine. Okay, Come on, no source. I've just done it. HTTP server. Okay. Let's put that back and see what URL that goes to. With just dot. So it's like by using Node.js, you can compile JS. Cross-platform, yes, you can compile JS on your native machine, on your system. That's the better word, on your system. So on your Windows, Linux, Mac. Okay, what just happened? What just happened? Oh, I see what I've done. Okay, so that was my bad. So I should have left that as it was. So just source, like so. Kill that. Do that again. Refresh that. Bingo. We got there in the end. So we've got this one which is running on localhost 3000, and we've got this one which is running on my local machine. So this is the one I don't want. So now that I've got that running, I can put in the README how to run, and then just do something like npm run dev. But first, you need to install the dependencies. So install dependencies, and that'll be npm I to install everything, and then just run the app. There we go. So if I got this first, I would have been more impressed, because I can see, oh, they know that a server can be used, and they have the ability to get extra plugins if they want to from npm. What's going on in the chat? Let's see. I'll make that a bit bigger. Yeah, okay. I'll keep the chat here. I'm gonna look at the chat less frequently so I can get some more code done. Okay, this is meant to have hyphens between it. I knew that. I definitely knew that. I just forgot. There we go. Okay, now we're kicking. Let's start with the JavaScript. That's the most complex part of everything. So I would say, first of all, if you have a piece of code like this is a lot, but there needs to be like a function called main or index or start, just somewhere to look, because I've got list button event handler, and I have to look at the HTML to see what that refers to. So it's nice to have a starting function to say, okay, this is where things start. So what is this? Recipe ingredients. That's not rendered here anywhere, is it? Fine. Okay, so in this case, the best place to start is the HTML, because the JavaScript is not that forthcoming. So you've got doc type HTML5, which is good. Language English, perfect. It's not responsive. Is it responsive? Yeah, it does. Okay, so you've got this responsive code here for responsive layouts. Recipe is spelled incorrectly. It's important to have a spell checker on your IDE. I've made that mistake before. So recipe, is that how you spell it? I don't know, but it's not giving me errors anymore. Restrictions are spelled incorrectly. Come on. Okay. So what's going on here? We've got the body. We've got the H3. Why did this person use a H3? It should actually be a H1, shouldn't it? That should definitely be a H1. First problem. H1, they've got font awesome, but font awesome isn't quite working. They've got the CSS. That is some JS code, which you can't see, but that's fine. Is it not working because... Yeah, I'll get rid of it because it's not really big. I can't see any fonts or any icons in here, so I'll get rid of that line. So this is all fine. So here up is fine. We've got the head. We've got a script, which is that. This should actually be defer or async. The reason we put a defer or async keyword is because we don't want the JavaScript to block the rendering of the page. So we want the page to render first and then this one to render afterwards. Without this word or the keyword, it will wait for the JavaScript to do its thing before rendering the page to the user. So we want to render this first. What's going on in the chat? I've lost the chat, so give me a second to find it back. Where did I put the chat? Okay, let's do this again. Open it in my browser. The chat's back. Right. Are you editing the code and making it better? Yes. So I'm making the code better, but I'm also trying to figure out what the code is doing. Okay. So we have shopping. So that's the H1 here. We've got this input. That's this bit here. and I assume you have a button underneath it, so that's submit. First or second or third problem with this is that you need to have a form. So this isn't exactly semantic. Yeah, this isn't semantic because it makes sense to have a form in your input. I guess you could do this. You could get away with this. But I guess I'm used to seeing a form around an input and a button, because having just an input and a button without a form just looks a bit naked. So it looks a bit like it's floating in midair. So we can add a form to it, because essentially the input here and the button, you're submitting a form, even though it's using JavaScript to submit the form, you're still submitting a form. And so the JavaScript here this button needs to trigger the submit. So we'll change that later, but this form should have an ID. So shopping list form or something like that, I don't know. So you submit to this ID. And I'm also going to do some refactoring here of the style just to make it a bit easier to read. So it's a span. I don't know why there's a span here. The span, let's put that back. The span is unnecessary, unless there's some styling attached to it, which we'll deal with later, but that's unnecessary. We just have that. Will that break it? That's fine. Okay, so I think I see why the person did a H3 and not H1. Yeah, so the reason they did the H3 was for sizing, but H1 is more semantic because it's the first or the most important title the user's supposed to see. How do you use the form tag? We'll get to that later. We'll get to the form tag later, but I'll go through everything first, and then I'll go to how we use this later. So this is more of a JavaScript type thing, because you submit a button, so you have an on-click handler which on this button which will submit this form, and then we do whatever craziness we want. But this is more semantic than what was there before. Okay, so we've got an ID here. Now, ideally, you should really be styling classes, not IDs. The reason is IDs are unique, which is fine. But what if you wanted to say this div to have the same style or a similar piece of style as this one? Then you'd have to apply all the styles here onto this ID as well, which isn't the best thing to do. So it's better to style classes. This isn't bad, having an ID here, but I'd say an ID here is more useful for maybe JavaScript things, which we'll get to later. Okay, this is fine, alert and active. So this is more for, I'm assuming this bit down here. Also, he's got a paragraph, sorry, he, she, whoever, they've got a paragraph here and an I. It's probably better to not have the paragraph and just have an EM. So we'll change that. Whoops, that's not the best way to do that. Get rid of this I and put that closing EM here, which EM stands for emphasis. I think in the olden days, I stood for italics or italics, but now we use EM. So I'm assuming the paragraph here is for styling as well, which we can do with the CSS class. We don't need to have a paragraph for it. Okay, so this is fine. This will display the shopping lists. And we've got an I here for note for this bit down here, which should be an EM. And then we've got a button here. So generate, I don't know what this does, but this is also being a form, but we'll get to that later. And everything else is fine apart from that. Okay, I've broken it somehow. Is it because of that? No. What happens in the codes? Okay, I think there's some kind of JS attached to an element that I removed. So we'll deal with that later. But for now, we'll leave that as is. Okay, so let's look at the CSS. Actually, we'll look at the CSS last. Yeah, we'll look at the CSS last. Let's look at the JS, because I think the JS will take the most amount of time. Cool. So the first, it's annoying that he's put this on IDs, because I don't know which bit refers to the JavaScript bit. That we'll get to that. So by using Node, can you turn it? Yes, you can use it into a desktop app. Yeah, so the way you make a desktop app with Node is using something called Electron. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Electron here. There you go. So you build your app with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then use Electron to make it a desktop app. So all these are desktop apps built with Electron. So I'll put that link in the chat for you to have a look at in your own time. But let's deal with this. So this is the first function I can see. Add list button to event handler. So that happens on Node. So we've got add list button event handler, that's fine. So we've got button, which is a let, and that's get element by ID, and we've got on click user input validation. So when you click on this button with the ID here, so that's that one. Okay, fine, I see. Click on that button, it's meant to submit a form, but it does use input validation, and that's down here. So ideally, if you've got code that's closely related, they should be close together. So this here should be a lot higher than it is. It should be here, down there. So now I can see that this, I don't have to scroll far to find it. Input element is that, so that's the input element, fine. On key down, function event. So okay, so if enter clicks, then you click the button. Okay, there's another way to handle that, but we'll get to that later. So use input validation, it checks the input. So new item gets the value. Document get element by ID, shopping list contain. Wow, this is a this is a lot. So it gets the, so you've got the value of the item, and then you get the container. Yeah, so Electron is yeah, you're right. Electron is a RAM and CPU eater. I think if you want to make a desktop app with JavaScript, Electron's the best way to go. And it depends on the app you want to make. If it's a performance-related app, then you could use something else. But I think Electron, for most cases, is fine. I mean, if you look at the list of people using it, there's some really clever companies like Twitch that use it, Microsoft use it, WhatsApp, so Facebook. I mean, really clever companies use it, and they probably figured out how to deal with all these issues. I want to have a look at the showcase, because there are loads of companies that use it. There are loads and loads and loads. Look, VS Code, so what I'm using now, that's running in Electron. So I think you're in good hands using this tool. There's another one. Give me a second. There's the Rust version of Electron, which I've heard is better. Tory, here we go, or Towery. Yeah, so Towery is like Electron, but it's meant to be faster. So you can try that instead if you want. You can look into that if you don't trust Electron. I will put that in the chat as well. But I think Electron, for most cases, is fine. Yeah, Towery, yeah. So you can check that out if you want. But I think you'll be fine with Electron. Cool. So let's see. I think what the person's done here is named it quite well. Also, by the way, if you're looking at this and you want someone else like me to review your code live, then subscribe to this channel and send me a message on Discord or Twitter or something, and I'm happy to go through your code live like I am with this person over here. Okay, so there are a few things here. So new item. So if this is empty, I don't know. I'm very bad at reading regex. Like what does this mean? So if the, so this is global something. How do we will it tell me? No, it won't tell me. Fine. I don't know what this means. So the best way to kind of, I think it means if it's got a white space, or if it has a I don't know what this means. So I have to find that out. But this isn't wrong. What would be helpful if he'd put what it does? So like has no white space, something like that, right? And you could do this here instead, and then replace all this with that. And so I can look at that and go, okay, this means has no white space, instead of me trying to figure out what does this mean. So I'll try and figure it out. There's like a regex tool, I think. Is it regex tester? Or no, regexer, that's it, regexer. I've used that before. Okay, so let me zoom in a bit. So what he's got, or what they've got, is plus DGI. What does that mean? Actually, let's copy the whole thing. So he's got GI D whatever. Oh, my keyboard today. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy all that into here. Oh, the GI already exists. Okay, fine. So what does this mean? So this means, okay, so it's digital characters 1 to 0. So if it has a digital character, what is that? Like a number? If it has more than one, then there's an issue. Oh, so you're not meant to have numbers in there. Okay, fine. What about this one? What does this one mean? Has an S. So he doesn't want characters with S's in them. That's why I couldn't do chips. Why? Or contains S character. I'm sure that there's a reason for it, but like what? I guess it doesn't want multiple items, but chips is like a bag of chips. Yeah, that should be doable. So now this is immediately way more readable. So I can say, okay, if it's empty, if it contains a number, or if it contains S character. Quick burp. So this is what you should do if you want to use regex. There's also a way to combine these. I'm sure there's a way to combine these two together. But the thing about regex is difficult to read for most people. So I'd rather avoid it unless I have to use it. Okay. So we've got that input validation. So if it fails, then it will just have an issue, I think. Oh no, so if it what does that do? Alert inactive. What does that do? That's quite a bad name. Is that? Oh, this is the bit down there. Sorry. This is this bit, alert inactive. So if you have any issues, what will it do? It will say, what is that? Create the alert. Okay, so this as well, just to make things a bit more helpful, should be here. There you go. So create alert, and that creates a document or an element of div ID alerts, and then gives you some text. That's fine. This is actually very readable. I'm thinking there's a better way to do it. I think this is actually fine. Yeah. You can actually get away with making this const, but I'll leave it as let for now because it actually makes more sense. Cool. And then create, so if there's no issue, it'll create a list element. What I'm actually going to do is use something called a guard clause. I'm going to return that and then get rid of this else. So what this is saying, realign that. Oh, that was a bad idea actually. I didn't put that back. So what this is saying is, if there's an issue with the code, then just return that. Don't go on to the next line. If there isn't an issue, then continue running this piece of code, which will add this to the container. So this should be down here because it's not used above. Put that here. So it gets this and adds this to it. So add create shopping list item with new list, and then new list item, and then you create an element. Okay, fine. So delete button and then tick button. Tick is a bad name, but I'll leave it for now. And then what does that mean? DOM element reading update. Okay, again, this should be up here. I'll move that a bit higher up. What's this? Fine, okay. How can I join your Discord? Oh, very easy, my friend, very easy. Let me just put this down and I'll show you how. I will show you how to do that. So if I go to Linktree, or if I just go to my Discord, let me think, what's the best way? I'll go to Linktree. Linktree. Let's do that. Internet's being slow as usual. So I'm gonna get the link to my Linktree. Copy that. I got rid of this so you don't see the admin stuff. And I'm gonna paste that in here. So here, so I just click on, oh, I got rid of it. Okay, well usually there's a link for Discord, but there isn't. So in my YouTube video, actually I'll do that now. I'll do that on a separate tab over here. I'm gonna create a link for you to join my Discord. Invite people, copy, and I'm gonna paste it in the chat. There you go, my friends. Enjoy. Right, so how long? Half an hour, just over half an hour. Okay, so streaming for half an hour. I'm gonna try and keep it an hour and a half tops. Okay, where are we? We're here. So we've done that DOM elements update. I don't know what this does. This is a bad name. Create shopping list alert. That should be here. That's fine. DOM element and create shopping list. So that should be above the DOM elements. About here. Because it's the order in which it's used. So this is used first, so that's there, and then that one, and then these two, and then that one. So these should come up a bit higher as well, actually. But I'll get to that later. Okay, so where are we? Right, I have no idea why this is here. This is a bit low down. This should be a lot higher. So these are variables that are needed. Okay. Yep, they should be at the top. Now, in my opinion, the first thing that runs is this one. So this in my opinion, should be the main function, but I'll leave it like this for now. Okay, this is a lot of code. I think I might split it into separate files, just because it's easier to read. But I'll do that later. I'll refactor this first. Okay, so before I get to the nitty gritty, what is this? Wow. Okay. I kind of think you should have used a framework for this, because there's a lot of JavaScript to do something that a framework can do with a lot less code. But this is a good way to learn. I'm so lost in where to start. So I've just kind of got the gist of how things are working. Let's move this up a bit higher, because I said I'd do that and I haven't done that yet. I think it would help to split these up into separate files, actually. Yeah, it would help. And to do that, I'd probably want to make this an ES module. So use ES modules, but I'll explain that later on. Let's just figure out what this is doing. So this is getting the button class name. Okay, that's cool. And then assign delete button events. Okay, there must be an easy way to do this, but oh man, whoops. So we've got on each delete button. Or this is what happens when you click on it. When you click on delete button, it'll run a function to remove the item that matches the index. Fine. Okay. So this makes sense to me. I mean, it's not bad. This isn't bad code. It's just badly organized and badly written. That's the problem. What is this? This is a recipe. Oh, I see. I think so. You add the items and you hit generate, and it generates a recipe for you based on what you've written. Okay, I had no idea it did that. And this is a const, so it should be much higher. Okay. In fact, why? So this is a function. This is a variable that is assigned to a function that also returns a function. Okay. How does this work? So is it So this runs that function to return a function to append it to. Okay, wow. Let's fix this app first. So currently, if I add something, so I've broken it somewhere. So if I add test, it shows up and then disappears. So if you see that, it does a bunch of stuff on this side, right? Okay, so we'll figure that out first. So that happens when you press the add to list button, add to list. Okay, so we're just going to call it add, right? Because we know it's a shopping list at the top. We don't need to have add to lists, we'll just have add. Okay. And so when you click the add button, it does something and then seems to refresh the whole page. Does it refresh the whole page? Oh, I see why, because this is, okay, fine. I know exactly what's happening. So the reason it's happening is because I've got a form. So when you hit the submit button on the form, it refreshes the page. That's the natural, not natural, that's the kind of action of a form, is to refresh. I can't, whose code is this? I can't tell you. I'll be breaking confidentiality. But so now that I've removed the form, this works. But with the form, the kind of natural action of a form is to refresh the page after you submit. So we can disable that. That's really easy. But let's first fix this. So add to list button. What I'm going to do is change that to I think I'm going to change the name to JS. So JS, so you know it's got some JavaScript in it. Just add button. There we go. That's much more simple to read. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having hyphens in between things, so you can have a hyphen there or an underscore. I'm just used to doing it this way. Good question. So here, I don't think he's a university student. He's someone who has learned to code. Yeah, it's someone who has learned and is learning to code. So we'll just leave it there. But yeah, this is not, he's not an expert. So this is a video to kind of help him and to help others get better at writing code. So okay, so now I've got that. Okay, so now this is the issue with having IDs as styles. So just have a class, and this should be add button. So whatever the whatever that was there before, here we go, add to list button. So that should be a what do you call it? A class. Bring that back. Here we go. So there we have it. So now, let's fix the functionality. So when you click on the button, so this is add, I'm going to change that to add button, I think. No, we'll leave it as that. Add list button. Yeah, add button event handler. Here we go. So as I'm 13 years old, what should I be able to make? I don't think you should limit your ability for coding by your age. You should be able to make whatever you want. I think if you're 13 and you did this it's not a bad place to start. This is actually quite a good place to start. But I think you should just make what you want to make. Don't limit your abilities. Make an app in Electron, a really simple app. I mean, this is a good thing. This is a good app to start learning. It's like a to-do list app, or like an app to fetch data from an API, like the Pokemon API or the Star Wars API, just to display that information. That's a good place to start. But yeah, don't let age be a limiter. 13-year-olds can do amazing things. Okay, so add button event handler, that's fine. It gets the button, which is here, and then it gets the input. So what I want this to do, yeah, so what this is doing is pressing enter on the input. So before it press enter on the input. No, actually, if someone presses enter, then you click the button. Right, so this is a hack. The button element or the form element should do it automatically. Right, you shouldn't have to write code for it. Oh yeah, a to-do app is a good place to start. So I'm going to get rid of this. what should actually happen is a submit. So the form submit. Let me see how you do that. So event handler form submit. I'll make that bigger. Okay, so add event, that's a submit. So this is what I'm essentially doing. So you get element by ID, form, get element by ID, log, and then add event listener submit. There we go. So this is what I want, but I don't know what log's doing. I guess log is the text. Timestamp, fine. So what I'm going to do is get the form. I'm going to get the form ID, and then when you hit submit, so when you submit the form, it's going to do a bunch of stuff, right? So I'm going to copy this, or copy the whole thing actually. Yeah, copy the whole thing, or actually just copy all of this, and just use that instead of this. So for the form here, I'm going to get my form ID, which I've called shopping list form. That's here. And then add event listener to submit shopping list form, and that is going to do a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to get rid of this one. I don't need that. And put this over here. So now I'm going to make this a function, or a anonymous function, or a fat arrow function, whatever you want to call it. And this is going to get the form element. And I'm going to hit that and say prevent default. So this is going to prevent it from refreshing the page. I missed something. Yeah, this is going to prevent it from refreshing the page when you submit. So I'm going to get rid of this because that's not needed. Or I'll just comment it out for now. And I'm going to say console log submitted. Right? Yeah, ideally you should stick to a style, so not have different types of quotes. I'm going to format this whole file, so it's going to look a bit weird, but I'm going to format it just to keep the same style, like a similar code style. Wrong button, this button. There we go. Okay, so now that's kept it as single quotes, which is fine. So now, if all has gone well, if I submit this form, it should say test here, but it didn't. So something's gone wrong. So we are form, get manager here, form submit, prevent default. Yeah, that should 100% work. What does this say? Yep, that's prevent default. I've got that event. Timestamp. Yeah, that looks good to me. Is something else going on that I'm unaware of? Event listener, submit. Let's try that again. There we go. Just needs to do a hard refresh. That's one disadvantage if using the HTTP server plugin. I think you have to remove the cache or something like that, but I don't mind doing hard refreshes for now. So that works. The page didn't refresh, so it's got this information and you get submitted. So what I can do actually is I can get the value of the input. So one benefit of using the form submit and not using your own kind of submit logic is I can get this value of the input here, right? Shopping list item input, I can get that directly in the form. But I've forgotten how to do that. So we're going to look at this documentation and see if that has it somewhere. Okay. Yeah, it's not in here. That's fine. We can figure that out. What we can do is Ctrl log E and see if it's in there somewhere. If not, I'll just look at someone else's code. Okay, so this is all we have available to us. Path, source, I don't think it's in here actually, to be honest. Type submit. I mean, I guess it'll be in here somewhere, but I don't want to go this far down, which is fine. So we've got the button. Oh, here we go. Here's the input. And does it have the value that we typed in? We should have the value we typed in, like input.value. value v should be down here somewhere. Oh, there's more. Come on. Here we go, value test. So that's what we want. So to get that, we need to do source element. I don't want to use source element. That's not the best way to do it, is it? Source element. There must be more. Target. Yes, here we go. Target. This is what I was on before, wasn't it? No. So we want e dot target. I think square brackets 0 because it's an array, and then dot value. Right? Let's do that again. E target 0 here, and then we want the value. Correct. So let's try that again. Clear this. Hard refresh. Test. Boom. Test. Chips. Boom. Chips. There we go. So now we have that. We can now do the input validation. So we'll get I'll change this to event because that's more readable. And I'm going to say input value. So that'd be a const. Value equals e.target.value. Now, if I wanted to be fancy, I could use destructuring, but I won't do that because it will be unnecessary in this case. So now I've got the input value, I can run the validation here. And this validation should actually be written a different way. So I should take the input here, so input value, or just value as an argument. So I wouldn't need this, I wouldn't need that, I wouldn't need these two because I have the value being passed into it. And then I can just do this here and then put that here. Oh, I might need some more stuff actually. New list item, what's the benefit of that? Oh, it gets the whole element, fine. Okay, I'll leave this one in for now because I don't know what it's needed for, but I'll just change this to value. So I can run input validation on value. Okay, so I've already got rid of a bunch of code that didn't make any sense. Okay, but in my opinion, it makes sense to have a starting point. So I'll figure that out just for someone who looks at the code to go, okay, where does this start? But anyway, use input validation. Let's just check if that works. I'm sure it does work. So I'm going to do test. Value is not defined. Value, it should be input value. I'm sure that was obvious to some people. There we go. Test is added and chips cannot be added because it has an S. So it'd be helpful to have the error here as to why that can't be added. So I'm going to do that. What's the best way to do it? Oh, because, okay, so there's no way to specify what the error message is, which isn't ideal. Sorry, I'm going back and forth like a madman. So let's do that. So let's have if value doesn't exist or if it contains a number. Let's have, so yeah, because there's no way if I put like 1 chip 1 it still get an issue. That's the bug as well. I can fix that. That's easy to fix. Yeah, because it doesn't tell you why. So it should ideally tell the user why there's an issue. What is the best way to do that? Because I'm thinking I could have multiple if statements, which can do the job, but it's not a very nice way of doing it. It doesn't look that nice. So what I could have is contains S character, or is plural, assumes plural by containing S. I don't know. I think an if statement is the best way to do it, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, because I could have a case switch, a switch case. That might be good, switch case. So I'm gonna have let's refactor that again. Why is that? Sorry, this should be 2 spaces and not 4. So if I hit that, whoops, if I hit this and do let's message, that'll be an empty string, or that'll be whatever's here. Please enter valid shopping item. Right. Okay. And then what I can do is switch true. And then we can have, I don't like writing like switch statements, but this is the nicest way to do it, I think. I mean, or we could have multiple if statements. Yeah, let's do multiple if statements. That's fine. So if value is doesn't exist, so if value is this, then the error message will be please enter a value, something like that. Duplicate that line. If contains a number, please do not include digits. And then if it contains an S, please remove S character. Right. So now we need to change this here. This function here. Is there a benefit of using a Mac for coding? Yes, that's a very good question. I would say in the olden days, yes, there was a benefit because Mac was Unix based or Linux based and Windows wasn't. But I think now that Windows is Unix based, there isn't a massive benefit. Hang on, sorry, error message. Yeah, so I think because you can do Unix stuff on Windows, basically in the olden days on a Windows machine, I couldn't do something like ls, right? I couldn't do that, but now I think you can, and a lot of tools or a lot of tutorials use that kind of use the Unix commands. And there were Mac specific tools back in the day, like there was Sketch, which was Mac specific. I think InVision was that Mac specific. Yeah, but now everything is cross platform with the power of Electron. So yeah, you're not really at disadvantage for using Windows. But most people still use Macs because that's just the heritage. That's what they're used to. It's quite dark in here actually. I might have to turn the light on. Okay, where was I? Yeah, so I'm changing this function to have an argument, and that'll be here. So that'll contain an error message here. So if that has worked, if I refresh the page and I do something like chips and hit enter, please move the S character. If I do 11, enter, please do not include digits. If I do nothing, please enter a value. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is get rid of that, this first line, because that will do automatically. There we go. And yeah, this is all fine. So while we're here, we can fix this issue. And the reason that happens is because after you've added an error, it doesn't remove the previous errors. So each time you hit add and there is an error, the first thing it needs to do is remove all the previous errors. So what we have to do is find all the elements on the page that contain this ID and just delete them. So what we can do, one thing I also forgot to mention is I much prefer using a query selector than to using get element by ID, just because it's more versatile. You can select elements and classes. So I can do something like const QS, or I'll do a function actually. Function QS stands for query selector, and then you can have the element in here, which can be anything really. Or that actually be a string. So that'll be a string. And I can say documents.query selector lm. Cool. And then I can change this here to QS for query selector. Right, so everywhere that contains this, change that to query selector. And then we can change this to a hashtag because a hash stands for ID. That's just the way it works. Cool. So with that done, I can do test, and that should still work. Even if I do an error, I still get an error. And I could use a class. So if I wanted to use a class, it would just be dot, and then that's the class. So that's much preferred. I much prefer that. Okay. So with that in place, what we can do is say here you can do documents.query selector all. So it's going to select everything with the ID of alert. I might change that in the future to something like JS alert or just a class with JS alert. But for now, we'll leave it as alert. And then once you have all the alerts, then you have to remove them. How to remove an element? How do we do that? Oh, it's just remove. Okay, I think there might be an issue here because this is an array of elements. So if I just do alerts.remove, it won't remove all of them. I don't think. I think it just will break. Let's test that. Yeah, it just breaks. So, and if I get rid of that should work. Oh. Huh? Is it something I had before? Okay, let's undo the last few lines. I don't think it's this line because I haven't done much here. Okay, and then refresh that, test. No, what broke? Is it the query selector? Oh, did I not put an, what? Did I not put, because that was working fine before, wasn't it? If I put that back, no refresh. What? But that query selector should be fine, right? Query selector. Okay, let's do it one by one. See what's causing the issue. Form, query selector shopping list form. Oh, hang on a minute. Should be returning that. That's my fault. That's my fault. So all this stuff here should be yeah. QS with a hashtag. There we go. So test. There we go. 11. Boom. Okay. So now I can put that code I had back before, which is const alerts equals documents.query selector all. Whoops. Alert. And then alerts.remove. Like so. Right, so test. There you go. 11. 12. Okay. So the reason it's doing that, if I were to put a debugger here, or a breakpoint, and then we can see what's going on. That didn't hit, did it? Why didn't that hit? That's weird. Anyway, I'll put console log. Or can I put a breakpoint in the code itself? Index.js, what line is that? 35. Oh, it hasn't got the breakpoint in here. There you go. So we can see that alerts is an array with nothing at the moment. But if we do 12, oh, hang on a minute, alerts. Yeah, remove is not a function, that's the issue. So because it's an array, you have to have it on the individual one. So what I'm going to do is say alerts. Have you code using? No, I haven't. If I'm being honest, I've never used Electron before. I'll tell you what I've done. which you can do if you want, but it's harder. Let me sort this out first. So alerts, dot for each alert, and then alert dot remove. So it's going to remove all alerts. I should have this in a separate function. So what I've done before, I've made some games before that are cross-platform. So they work on Mac, Linux, Windows, and the way that I've done them. There we go. See, and if I do that, but it should remove all of them actually. That's a good point. So it should remove them even after I click on them. And the way I've done that is to use a language called Hacks. So Hacks is a cross-platform language that if you write code in that language or in Hacks, it can compile to C++, to Python, to Java, whatever you want, and you can use that to make a native desktop application. I'll show you more about that in a second, but let me fix this bug. Why? Okay, so when I hit add, it should, I guess, because this is still there, that's why there's nothing there. It should go away. Please enter value. Okay, fine. Okay, no, that's fine. That's not a bug. It should disappear if I do chips or chip like that. Then it goes fine. Yeah. So let me show you. Tell you more about Hacks, the language. I'm quite a big fan of Hacks. So as you can see, you can write Hacks, which looks a bit like JS, but not so much. You can write Hacks and it can compile to HTML5, it can compile to Node, Flash, C++, Python, and you can make games with it. You can make desktop apps with it. So you just write Hacks and it'll compile to whatever network you want. Sorry, to whatever what do you call it? System you want to compile to. So there are a bunch of games made with Hacks. You just write the language and then you can compile to desktop, console, Mac. So I've done some of that before, but I haven't used Electron. So you can try Hacks out if you want. It's a bit more difficult to learn than JavaScript because you need to know how types work and a few more complex concepts. But it's a cool language in my opinion. Okay, back to this. This here can actually be put. No, I think this is the best place for it because the reason it's here is because if I put that here and I have an error first, but then I add a valid value like chip. Oh, it does go away. Okay. Oh no, let's try that again. And I do chip. Yeah, it still stays. But if I have it here and I put an incorrect value like 11, and then I put that's incorrect as well. Oh no, that should be incorrect. It contains an S. Okay, fine. It might be an S at the end, but yeah, it's best to put it up here so it disappears, so you don't get the issue where. Oh wait. Oh yeah, please enter a value. Yeah, because it's empty. One way you can get around this actually is to have a required here, so that'll be required there. So if I refresh the page now, if I have it blank, then it pings me here with the browser. So that's browser validation. So that can save me some code. So I can get rid of where is this value here, and I can get rid of this check. Whoops. And I can even put this here, right down here. What happened to my camera? Oh, good question. What happened to my camera? It turned off. Is it going to come back? Is it out of battery? It might be out of battery. My camera is out of battery, so what I'm going to do is turn this off so you don't see it, and I'm going to talk to you like this so you won't see my face. Actually, I can put my other camera on if you want, my webcam camera. I know I can't do that now. Okay, so I'll just be cameraless for a while, but that's fine. You can still hear me. You can still understand me. Cool. So we are going to, where are we at? Let's delete that. Okay, we're still refactoring. We've put the form in place. We've got some error messages in place. And now let's figure out what this does. Oh, so this will display. I'm quite happy with this bit actually. I don't have any issues with this. Yeah, this bit's fine. I guess we could go ahead and put all this in a separate function. We could actually put that in a separate function, but I won't do that now. Yeah, I could put that in a function actually. I could call it like render row or something, render shopping list row, if that makes sense. Let me just, hang on a minute. Yeah, my webcam is not playing ball at the moment. Yeah, it's not playing ball, so it's not. I'd love to turn it on. It's just broken. Okay, where are we at with? Yeah, I think I'll leave this for now. And this bit here, I think that's also fine. Create element div. That's fine. I don't know if I like the name, but that's by the by. P. This is a bad name. I'm not a fan of single letter variable names. Div element is much more readable. Okay. Oh, actually, I just thought of something, right? So what we could do here is when you press, like if you have something in here and you hit add, it should get rid of this value. This it's not that big of a deal, but I think it would be cool if it did do that. But that's fine. We're running over time. Are we running over time? 10 minutes. I haven't been live for 10 minutes, have I? Did this just turn off and turn back on? That is weird. How long have I been live for? Maybe an hour and 10 minutes? Anyway. I'll get rid of this. So he's got some, what do you call it? Font awesome, which isn't working. So I'm just gonna get rid of it. Here, tick button, tick button, tick button, button. Oh, does it work? Let me have a look, test. No, there's nothing. Yeah, it's not working. So either it's done or either you delete it. I think all the stuff's fine. I don't like the fact that there's an S restriction, but it's okay. So I get rid of these two things here. Okay. Yeah, so one thing I want to do is add a counter. So I could do that at the top of the class just to count how many elements are in place. Less than 10. Button active, button active. Okay, so these are classes. That's fine. But is the button actually inactive or is it? Okay, fine, it's actually inactive. Oh. Okay, fine. Assign delete buttons. Click. So I actually prefer to have arrow functions in this scenario. Just because that's what I prefer. And for JavaScript, there's actually a more readable way to write for loops. So we could do for const delete button of delete buttons. And I think what we can do here is if we want the index, what is this doing anyway? Delete buttons index. Okay, fine. So it's looping over each one and saying each of them has an onClick. So I can get rid of this actually. Oh no, I do need the index. Okay. Uh, do- Oh, you can count. Okay, fine. I guess if you do want the index, this is probably the best way to do it. But what you could also do, because this is not my preference, just get delete buttons for each, and then you can get the index with that. Delete button, and then the index, and then arrow function. I think that's how that works, right? That used to have a bracket here, and another one. Where's the other one? Oh, hang on, that probably go here. Yeah. So delete button not used, but index is used. I think that's how that works, right? P is not defined. What line? 65. I made some changes and I forgot to change them back. 65 div lm. Delete. Tick button icon is not defined. I thought that's here. Oh, a tick button. We don't need that. Okay. There we go. For each is not a function. It is a function. Is it not? Is that not an array? I'm sure this is an array, right? What is that? That's 100% an array. Yeah, that's definitely an array. Maybe because array from, because I need to do something like that. Delete buttons. Can you not even? Oh, sorry, capital A. So what I'm just doing a lot of stuff without telling people what I'm doing. I'm now converting this into an array because it should be an array. Why is it not? Cont A is not defined. I've just made A undefined array from HTML collection for each, because you can do that. I think you have to convert it into an array first. Okay. Is that the only? I'm sure there must be a way to do it without. Oh, you can't. Okay, you can't use for in. But what about for each? Can you not use for each for it? I guess I was wrong. Use strict for each function item. Yeah, here we go. Array from, right? That's what I've just done. But it's not playing ball. Delete buttons. Yeah, he's got that. There you go. I guess this is just a personal style thing. Oh, is it undefined? What we're looking at here, we've got get off, delete button, which is that. Here we go. So that's all this is correct. Definitely correct. So what's the issue? Delete. Says can't be property 106. 106. Oh, it's got this. What is this? Parent element remove. What was this? What was there before? How have you got this keyword here? I'm completely lost. Okay, let's put that back. I think I know what he's done. That should be delete button parent element, right? There we go. Whew, got there in the end. Okay, so this, in my opinion, is readable because you're going over each delete button and then you're adding this function to it. I could convert this into a constant and just put that there, but this is fine. Now I never got this DOM elements reading update. So what is this doing? This is getting the delete button and the tick button. So it's basically delete and done. And then saying, so it's giving them the events. So each time you remove a delete button or remove an item, it then, okay, I'm sure there's a better way to do that. I can't think of one now. But there definitely is. So as you can tell, I could go on. In fact, let me just do something really simple. Let's change that to QS, the query selector. Are there any more of these? Yeah. Query selector, and then just do dots. Just to keep some consistency. Yeah. Okay. So this should all still work fine. But I've already, what? Oh my word. Please not include digits. Okay. That's much more readable than it was before. That was definitely working before, wasn't it? Okay, let's just put that back for now. Yeah, I don't know why the query selector just didn't work then. It should work. Get elements by class name. Oh, get elements. This is multiple, fine. It's not get elements. Okay, so this is equivalent to query selector all. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, as you can tell, I could go on to refactor this line. This looks like a bit of a mess. Only uses feature of a certain number of items to shopping list. What does that do? Test. Or I can just do numbers actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is broken. So what I'm going to do is maybe just fix this and then call it a stream. Actually, one thing I want to do before I do that is this yellow has been bugging me since the beginning of this stream. So the issue with this is it should not exist, right? So so what should happen is it should have a class of display none, right? Or visibility hidden. Right. So from the beginning of the app starting, there should be that. So it doesn't exist. It should actually be display none is probably the better way of doing it. Just because visibility hidden still keeps the space. But I'm not too bothered about that. I don't mind it popping into place. Okay. Come on. I've broken something somewhere. This n, display none. This n. What is going on? Is there some kind of other display class that is fighting display block? That should not be there. Let's just kill that. I'll duplicate that here and just put display block. And that is, here we go, shopping list container. I'll get rid of that display here. And then that doesn't exist. Now, if I add something, it won't exist either. And that's because I need to get rid of that display none class. So when I add something to the list, so that will happen here. I don't know. I don't like the way this works. Sorry. Yeah, this is not the best way to do this. So here, this should be a function that takes this as an argument, and then I can append this div element to it. That, in my opinion, reads a lot better than what this is doing. So if I get rid of that, okay, and if I get this as an argument, so I can say, I don't know, wrapper, and then wrapper append. Or add, is it append child? Append child, here we go. So that adds to the bottom this div element here. And that to me reads a lot better than what was there before. But I also need to remove that class. Is it not an append? Query selector, I've got that. That is, oh, have I got the wrong class? No, that's the right class. We've got value, this item, wrapper. Was it append child before? What was there before? I'm sure it was append child. Whoops. Yeah, append child, definitely there. So why is it giving me beef? Anyway, what I did want to do is here on this wrapper, I want to, oh, there needs to be a check to make sure if there's more than one element, but I'll do that later. For now, I'm going to say wrapper dot class remove display none and add display block. Whoops. Will that work? That's the question. And find 63. Okay, I think I'm just gonna fix this and I'll call it stream. I've been going for longer than I wanted to go for. What is this? So we've got wrapper. Is that not coming through? Here we go. So that's there. Display n. So if I do, is it wrapper dot, oh, class list. Wrapper dot class list. Here we go. And then remove, and I can do this n like that. That's what I want. Cool. So if I do test, that debugger still hits. Append child. Why does it give me issues for append child? Let's try that again. Why does it say append child does not exist on this element? Because it was working fine before. You can see how people work. A lot of Googling, a lot of guessing. Append child. Node append child. So document body append child. Yeah, I don't have, am I spelling it incorrectly? Append child. Append child. Cannot read properties of undefined reading append child. Is it because div element is empty? No, div element has something in there. Input value. So why do I have an issue here? Why does that fail? Okay, so it seems to work here now. Oh, is it because it's too fast? Give me a sec. Oh no. User input validation. Yeah. Append child. Oh, that's not the line I was referring to. So this item append child. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, I see. Okay. I see why. Oh, because this is supposed to return something. Fine. I see what does that. So here, this wrapper. I guess could I return the wrapper? Constant new wrapper. And then, oh yeah, let's just return that first and see if that works. Return wrapper append child div element. No, I don't need debugger anymore. So that doesn't work either. What a faff. Okay, I'm gonna take a break. I'll be back in a second. Just needed to pee. I was holding it in for a long time, but it's good to get it out. Too much information, I know. All right, we need to wrap the stream up, don't we? Let me just fix this. I'll fix this. I'm sure this in my head should 100% work, but I don't know why it's not working, because all it needs is the element here. So I'm returning the element. Yeah, this should totally work. Okay. What we can do is have it the way it was before. Because, yeah, in my head that's totally work, but I don't know why it's not working. Because all this is doing is returning this div element, and this here is just wrapping it in an append child. Where was I? Up here. So what we could do is put this in the function. And then, I'm not going to call it test, of course, I'll change the name. So this I'd prefer to read. I mean, I don't like the way, I'd prefer to put that as an argument in there, but you can't always get what you want. Okay, so this is create shopping list item. So shopping list item, there we go. So hopefully that should fix it. Come on, come on. What is the issue now? I'm sure something else is the problem, because I haven't changed anything. Give me a second. There's a lot of code here that I don't know what does this do? Where is that used? I'd love to know. I might have to ask him, like, what is that used for? Okay, so this is where I was. Is this used elsewhere? Is it a conflicting name? Append child. And this returns div element, which I haven't changed. Have I changed something? I don't think I've changed that. Let me know if I've changed something. I don't think I've changed anything. And doesn't. Oh, is this because of the display none malarkey? Did I get rid of that? I got rid of that. So that should be here. Okay. That should be the wrapper. So when you click on it, it should just go shopping list container, class list, remove. Is remove a function? Does it give me any? No, it doesn't. No. I think you can just oh, it's a function. Good thing I checked. Okay, so remove as a function, and I can do display none to it. And then I can do display block for that. There we go. Woof, woof, and it stays. Okay, so I need to do a check to say if the how do you say, if there are no elements, no like shopping list items, then you just keep it display none, which is a small thing to do. But as I said, I'm gonna have to end the stream. An hour and a half, I think that's a good time. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna try and fix the issue with the camera, and I think I'm gonna have to buy something to keep it charged all the time. But I hope you learned something from the stream. I certainly did. I always learn. And yeah, please like, subscribe, and become a member. I'm gonna enable membership on my YouTube channel, just because I'd like to get more support. Also, send me your code if you want me to review your code, like I've done this one. If you want me to refactor your code in the future, send it to me and I'll do a stream on your codes so you can learn how to make it better.